Hello folks, Kent Standford here, working with you today on the Agronomic Crops webinar, doing a nutrient management update for you, and want to share a few things with you as it relates to nutrient management. Certainly times change, and change is continual. We have to deal with it all the time, and that's no different in the poultry industry. As far as poultry house management goes, the new construction that we're experiencing today, we've moved away from the smaller sized houses. Most of the new construction now is the 66 by 600 houses versus some of the older houses that were 45 by 500s. And when we look at bird numbers, you're talking about 60,000 birds in those houses versus 28,000 in the older style. The renovation and upgrades that these guys experience and spend money on certainly bring these houses up to top quality and help tremendously in terms of managing the environment inside these houses. Type of production changes, and so they may move from a smaller bird to a larger bird back and forth. Certainly it just changes on a fairly regular basis for them. The litter management has changed over the years as well. Clean out schedules are quite a bit different than they used to be. We went through a phase where there was clean out once a year at least, and sometimes twice a year, spring and fall. Now, depending on the integrator, they may be on an annual clean out or a 2 or 3 year clean out or schedule as far as the number of years they might grow on that litter before it comes out of the house. Some of the growers will do crusting between flocks where they go in and get the cake litter out. Some will do total clean out, and some will do windrowing within the house as well. Bedding material availability is a very big deal now. The cost certainly is very substantial. These guys may be looking at a couple of $1,000s per house or more in terms of the bedding, the shavings that they'll use to put in the houses. This leads to less available litter at any given time, and that thus affects us in crop production based on when we need to make applications. The LT situation is very serious. It's a big deal for us. We need to be aware of what's going on as far as LT goes. LT is laryngotracheitis, a virus that affects the chickens. We had a major outbreak in 2016, had 62 farms that were positive altogether. First farm broke on January the 20th. We experienced that through early summer. They established a no spread zone where there was no litter that was spread and no litter moved. In North Alabama, the zone started in Blount County initially and then expanded and took in a very wide swath, basically from Gadsden all the way west towards the Mississippi line. September 10th, litter was allowed to start being spread and moved again within that zone. But then, unfortunately, on November the 22nd, we've had another positive farm to break, and currently there are 6 positive farms. So there will be limitations on litter movement throughout the winter months, no doubt. All right, average litter is still a 332 fertilizer value. We use those numbers, have used those numbers for quite some time, and those are still very valid numbers. Everybody wants to know what it's worth, so I have a little nutrient calculator, just an Excel spreadsheet. If any of you were to need it, be happy to share that with you, and we can run some numbers there and see what we're looking at. So based on current average fertilizer values, litter should be worth about $69.64 a ton. That means that your phosphorus is low and you actually need the phosphorus. But typically we buy or sell it on a 5-ton spreader truck load basis, and there we would be looking at $348. If soil test P gets up even to 50 parts per million, the value of that litter drops to $31.82. So the big value with litter is if you need that P and K. So obviously we don't know anybody that's charging or paying those sort of prices. We have to deduct from those prices. Go back and let you look one more time. $69 versus what it's probably bringing is closer to $30, $25 to $30 a ton. So how do we drop half of the value? Well, we deduct for smell. Certainly there'll be some odor. It's a bulky product. We have to move a large volume. We spread it in rates of tons per acre. And then there's nitrogen availability as well. The only way to know exactly what you have is obviously to test. Our lab at Auburn can test for you, and that's the easiest way to know exactly what you might have. In this example, nitrogen content is 86 pounds per ton, and you see the P and K at 54 and 48 respectively, right where we would anticipate it being, and that's as sampled. So that nitrogen value starts to get our attention. The higher quality litter is typically going to be a litter that's had a greater number of flocks run across it before it's cleaned out. It's coming out of a house that proper ventilation is used, so you're minimizing moisture. You're not having to exhaust moisture, as well as a fair bit of ammonia out of the house. These houses typically will have enough bedding added so that we're able to lower the ammonia in those houses. And this higher quality litter, you can experience values of 100 pounds of nitrogen and greater. They're possible. They're not very common, but they're certainly possible. Bottom line is there's a potential for a wide range of nitrogen values on litter. Of course, I always ask the question, is someone willing to pay for higher quality litter? And really, I suppose that's the most important question. In terms of nutrient availability, we know that nitrogen loss is going to occur when you do a surface application or broadcast application without working this into the soil. That's weather dependent. You can lose as little as 15%, but you might lose over 80% in hot, dry weather as well. Incorporation is going to prevent most of the loss, but certainly it will not prevent all of the loss. So you could still experience 5 to 10% nitrogen loss. We always tell growers to figure 60% available nitrogen for the year of application, and that's the remaining nitrogen after loss to volatilization. Certainly P is available, it will build, and K as well. Just wanted to remind folks of a few BMPs that are terribly important in terms of litter storage or dry manure or litter storage options. It's important to know that you need to store it away from property lines, get it away from surface water, put it under a roof or plastic cover if at all possible, store it on a clay or concrete pad to prevent seepage. Bottom line is you got to be willing to get it when you can and store it. And in this picture you see where this grower has done a tremendous job on getting this litter covered up. I don't know how many folks do that good a job, but you better have it covered up. That's the bottom line. It's got to be covered up until it is spread. NRCS has updated their standard 590, the nutrient management standard. We no longer have the no spread zone, as it was called, in North Alabama. Instead, we have this statement: nitrogen sources shall be applied no more than 30 days prior to the beginning of the growth cycle or the planned planting date. Very important that from a timing standpoint, litter be applied appropriately. It's important to remind everyone as well about buffers. This is the distance from the manure application. We want to stay back 50 feet from any surface water, 200 feet from wells, 50 feet from public roads, 100 feet from someone else's house, 25 feet off property lines, and those buffers include a 30-foot vegetative filter except for the property line. And a vegetative filter is just exactly what it says. It's some sort of vegetation that's growing there that will act as a filter to trap any runoff that you might experience from that field. The R9 form, this is a transfer liability form, has been widely used. It's a great tool for growers to utilize when they sell or give litter away to someone, just to transfer the responsibility for that litter to that individual. Many of the folks that I talk to that sign this form don't really understand exactly what they're signing, but it's important that they understand that they are signing and agreeing to abide by the rules, and that they will document their actions. Now, record keeping or the documentation of the handling and application of that litter is not something a lot of people take seriously, but it's terribly important to protect themselves in case someone were to complain and a complaint is filed. officially with ADM and an inspection is done. Some of the records would include maps with spreadable acres, the application dates, times, and the conditions that the application was made, the crop, the type and amount of application. The animal waste analysis is important to have that on hand. Certainly soil test reports are important. Those should be no more than 3 years old. I would document the manure storage activities. If it was bought in the fall, filled, stored from a temporary standpoint and covered up, I would have some pictures of that to show that it was done correctly. And then any inspections that might occur as well, keep up with those. And really the best use of litter then becomes on fields with low P and K levels, fields that have low soil organic matter, fields that someone intends to farm for the coming years, fields with low environmental sensitivity, and ideally then fields with no neighbors, but we don't have many of those in Alabama. I always like to include some public relations considerations because they are so important. I frequently have to deal with complaints from individuals, and if folks would just observe these comments here, it would certainly help everyone out. Think before you act and be reasonable. Communicate appropriately. Don't go out and spread, July the 3rd, knowing that your neighbor's going to have a big family gathering on July the 4th. Let them know when you need to spread. Find out if there are events that they will have going on at their home that you need to work around. But you got to do that by communication. Bottom line is you better be following the rules because the folks that live around us now are very intelligent. They ask the right questions and they are watching the things that we do, and we cannot afford to disregard the rules. Certainly important to document your actions and make sure that you have records in place to protect yourself, and put yourself in the neighbor's place. Would you want litter to be spread around your home the time that you wind up putting it out there? Just think a little bit about things from their perspective, and the bottom line is just to do the right thing. To try to summarize then, it's important that we understand nutrient management. We've got to know that litter is harder to source because of the clean out schedules that they are on, and in this time frame right now, we don't know exactly what we'll be dealing with the LT situation. So it's important to develop a relationship and be willing to pay a fair price. Also related to the LT situation, for these individuals that might be going on farms and moving litter off those farms, be very diligent in terms of biosecurity, work with that poultry grower and know exactly what their expectations are, and work very closely with them to make sure that you're doing things correctly. And then bottom line is to use appropriate best management practices and treat it correctly. For more information, you can get on our ACE's website, go to the Alabama Animal Waste Management page for more information. Thanks, and be sure to let me know if you have any questions. I can be reached at 256-557-1206.